something just changed, and NASA isn't saying a word. For months, astronomers tracked 3IATLAS, the mysterious interstellar object that entered our solar system out of nowhere. Every simulation said the same thing. It would drift safely past Mars and vanish back into the darkness. Nothing to worry about. But then, the James Webb Space Telescope pointed its golden mirrors toward the object, and what it saw defied every prediction. 3IATLAS is no longer on the same path. Its trajectory, once perfectly stable, has shifted. At first, scientists thought it was a simple error, maybe a software glitch or a misread from one of the observatories. But when data from Europe's Gaia telescope and China's Tianwen-1 orbiter confirmed the same thing, panic quietly spread through the global astronomy community. IATLAS isn't drifting anymore. It's aiming. The new calculations show the object's current course cutting directly across Mars's orbital plane, with a projected approach distance of less than 900 kilometers. That's not a near miss. That's a bullseye. And here's the part that's making even NASA engineers lose sleep. There's no reason for this to be happening. Before we dive in, subscribe and like this video. You don't want to miss the universe's biggest secrets. If you love unexplained mysteries, smash that like. Natural objects don't suddenly change course in deep space. They don't decide to aim at planets. So what could possibly be powerful enough to push something that weighs billions of tons across millions of miles of empty space? Some think it could be outgassing, frozen gases heating up and pushing it slightly off course. But the new data doesn't fit that explanation. IATLAS didn't just drift closer to Mars, it accelerated. Its speed increased by nearly 2% in under 48 hours, a move so precise it looks like a planned maneuver. Even the James Webb team, usually calm and cautious, released a cryptic statement. The observed shift in trajectory cannot be explained by natural causes alone. That single sentence lit up the internet. Forums, scientists, conspiracy channels, everyone asking the same question. Is it possible that 3IATLAS isn't just another rock? If it continues on its current path, it will reach Mars in less than 19 days. And when it does, the impact energy would be beyond anything we've ever witnessed, strong enough to vaporize entire regions of the planet's surface. But what if impact isn't the goal? What if the collision course is the message? Because just as scientists tried to track its movement frame by frame, they noticed something even stranger. The way it's moving doesn't look random at all. It looks controlled. And that brings us to the next mystery, the impossible motion of 3IATLAS. What if this object isn't flying by accident? After the James Webb Space Telescope confirmed that 3IATLAS had changed course, scientists locked onto it around the clock. They wanted to understand how something that weighs billions of tons could suddenly steer itself through the vacuum of space. That's when they found the signal. Every 17 minutes, without fail, the object released a pulse. Not random, not chaotic, a perfect burst of gas and dust, each lasting exactly 43 seconds. And every time, the burst came from the same location, one side of its surface. Then, 17 minutes later, again and again. The pattern was so precise it looked mechanical, like someone had programmed it. Normal comets vent gases when they heat up, but never like this. Nature doesn't run on a timer. These pulses were synchronized, steady, almost surgical, and each one had an effect. After every pulse, the object slightly changed direction, not drifting, but adjusting, steering, controlling its trajectory through empty space, as if following invisible coordinates. NASA's propulsion experts tried to explain it. Maybe trapped gases, maybe rotation, maybe coincidence. But the data refused to fit. The thrusts weren't random, they were symmetrical, coming from 3 fixed points spaced perfectly around the equator of the object. 3 engines, 3 deliberate bursts, 3 controlled maneuvers. The James Webb Telescope's infrared imaging revealed something even more disturbing. The material being ejected wasn't just frozen gas. It contained carbon nanotubes, silicates, even fragments of a polymer film that looked unmistakably artificial. Those materials shouldn't exist on any comet. Not out here. Not naturally. Suddenly, 3IATLAS didn't look like a wandering chunk of rock anymore. It looked like a vessel, a machine, a traveler. Astronomers started whispering a new nickname, the Silent Voyager, because every move it made was too smooth, too deliberate, too intelligent. If it's being controlled, then who's flying it? There's no radio signal, no detectable crew, no heat signature, nothing alive that we can see. And yet, it behaves like it knows exactly what it's doing. Its maneuvers avoid gravitational traps. It matches Mars's orbital speed. It glides with precision that rivals our most advanced probes. Whatever this is, it's not random. It's operating with intent. And that's when researchers made a discovery that sent chills through every control room watching it. When they plotted the timing of each pulse, the intervals formed a code. A series of ones and zeros, binary, a pattern written in thrusts and silence. And when they decoded it, the message didn't point to deep space. It pointed straight to Mars. The deeper scientists looked, the stranger 3IATLAS became. When the first radar scans came back, they didn't show the soft, dusty surface you'd expect from a comet. They showed hard reflections, metallic echoes bouncing off the object's body like signals from a spacecraft hull. At first, the data analysts thought it was an instrument glitch, but every telescope that followed confirmed the same thing. Whatever this thing is made of, it's not ice and rock, it's metal. Then came the spectral analysis. Using the James Webb Space Telescope's infrared sensors, researchers broke down the light bouncing off 3IATLAS into its basic ingredients. What they found left even veteran scientists speechless. Instead of the usual mix of frozen gases, silicates, and organic dust, the readings revealed traces of carbon nanotubes, silicon composites, and a polymer coating that looked eerily similar to industrial plastic. Those materials simply do not form in nature, not in space, not on planets, not anywhere outside of advanced manufacturing. And yet, there they were, embedded across the surface of an interstellar object millions of miles away. That discovery forced a terrifying new question. Was 3IATLAS built? As more data poured in, the picture grew clearer. The metallic regions weren't scattered randomly. They formed a perfect grid pattern along its equator and poles, almost like structural panels. Some sections even showed signs of weld lines, thin seams that reflected differently under radar, as if they'd been fused together. The object wasn't smooth like an asteroid. It was designed. The chemical signatures got even weirder. One reading detected a polymer compound nearly identical to Captain, the same heat-resistant material NASA uses on satellites and spacecraft. Another showed traces of an unknown synthetic element that doesn't match any known sample in human databases. It's stable, flexible, and incredibly light. The kind of material you'd use to build something meant to survive deep space for millennia. Even stranger, the metallic panels seem to regenerate light oxidation damage over time. It's as if the material heals itself, maintaining reflectivity as it travels through radiation and cosmic dust. Nothing in nature does that. It's technology, ancient, advanced, and still functioning. When the European Space Agency compared 3IATLAS's radar echoes to every known human-made object, the match was chilling. The closest signature wasn't from a rock or a meteorite. It was from a satellite. The pattern of reflection, density, and composition all pointed to a structure. Hollow inside, metallic outside, and if it's hollow, that means it's not just a massive rock passing through space. It could be a vessel, maybe once occupied, maybe still active. One scientist, speaking anonymously, said it best. It's not a comet, it's a construct. And as Webb's sensors zoomed in even further, they found something no one could explain: faint, rhythmic flashes pulsing from within the metallic shell. Not random, not natural. A repeating sequence of light and shadow that looked almost like a signal. And that signal wasn't broadcasting into space. It was pointing straight toward Mars. The moment the metallic and synthetic readings were confirmed, the scientific community split in two. Some refused to believe what the data clearly showed. Others, a much smaller, quieter group, began to whisper the unthinkable. What if 3IATLAS wasn't natural at all? What if it was engineered? Among those voices was Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, the same scientist who once suggested that Oumuamua, the first interstellar object ever detected, could have been artificial. His new theory sent shockwaves through every space agency on Earth. He proposed that 3IATLAS might not be a comet or asteroid, but an interstellar probe, a piece of ancient alien technology deliberately sent toward Mars. At first, the idea sounded impossible. Why Mars? Why now? But when Loeb's team ran simulations of its flight path, the results were chilling. Every maneuver, every 17-minute thrust, every tiny correction, all pointed to a single target zone near the Martian equator. It wasn't random. It was aiming, Loeb suggested, three possible purposes. The first, the most catastrophic, was impact. 3IATLAS could be programmed to crash into Mars with surgical precision, delivering an explosion powerful enough to alter the planet's thin atmosphere or release dormant elements beneath the surface. If that happens, it wouldn't just destroy the rovers and orbiters. It could change Mars forever. The second possibility was far stranger: delivery. If the object is hollow, as radar scans suggest, it might be carrying something inside. A payload, maybe a swarm of microprobes, dormant nanomachines, or even biological material, seeds of life, frozen and waiting for release. Scientists call it directed panspermia, the idea that life can be spread intentionally across the cosmos. What if 3IATLAS isn't a weapon, but a messenger? What if it's here to plant something? The third possibility chilled even the skeptics. What if 3IATLAS is transmitting? Its rhythmic pulses, its binary-coded propulsion bursts, even its internal flashes, they might not be propulsion at all. They might be communication, not with Earth, but with Mars itself. Some experts noticed an eerie synchronization between the probe's signals and magnetic readings coming from the Martian surface. Every time 3IATLAS emitted a pulse, faint ripples appeared in Mars's upper atmosphere, as if the planet were answering back. Coincidence? Or a two-way exchange between something artificial in space and something ancient buried beneath the Martian soil? For the first time, scientists began to look at Mars differently. Not as a dead world, but as a receiver, a destination chosen long before humans ever existed. Avi Loeb's final statement was short, but unforgettable. We might not be observing a rock passing through our solar system. We might be witnessing a delivery. And if he's right, the next event won't be a collision. It'll be activation. The stakes became terrifyingly real when scientists calculated what would happen if 3IATLAS actually struck Mars. This is not a small object. 10 billion tons hurtling through space at 57 kilometers per second. A velocity that would let it cross the distance from Earth to the Moon in under 80 minutes. At impact, the energy released would exceed 2 million megatons. To put that in perspective, it's thousands of times more powerful than the largest nuclear bomb ever detonated on Earth. The collision wouldn't just create a crater. It would obliterate everything in its path. Rovers crawling across the surface, orbiters circling overhead, even decades of research meticulously collected by instruments we've sent to study the red planet. The blast would gouge a crater 60 kilometers wide and 5 kilometers deep, sending massive plumes of dust and debris into Mars's thin atmosphere. Some of that debris could escape the planet entirely, wandering through the solar system, potentially reaching Earth. But it's not just rocks and dust that are at risk. The heat, pressure, and radiation generated by such an impact could trigger chemical reactions that alter the Martian environment in ways we cannot predict. Beyond the physical destruction, the consequences for science are staggering. Entire experiments searching for signs of past or present life would be erased in an instant. Long-term climate records, soil samples, and the painstaking work of rovers like Perseverance, Curiosity, and Tianwen-1 could vanish without a trace. Mars might never be the same world we've been studying for decades. Even more unnerving, planetary defense discussions around 3IATLAS have revealed one truth. Humanity has no proven way to stop it. Its deliberate maneuvers, engineered pulses, and unnatural composition make conventional deflection impossible. The red planet itself might be the only thing standing in the way of catastrophe. Every calculation, every simulation, every prediction points to the same chilling fact. If 3I-ATLAS hits, it won't just be a cosmic event. It will be a global scientific disaster. And unlike anything we've ever prepared for, this is one impact we cannot fully control or mitigate. Mars is in its path, and time is running out. As scientists studied 3I-ATLAS more closely, they began to notice something profoundly unsettling. The object's every movement wasn't just precise, it was patterned. Each 17-minute pulse, each minor course correction, each acceleration wasn't random. When plotted against time and space, the intervals formed sequences that looked eerily like binary code. Ones and zeros, written not in radio waves, not in light signals, but in motion itself. Teams of cryptographers and astrophysicists began decoding the data. They mapped the thrusts and pauses as binary digits and applied standard compression algorithms used for deep space communication. What emerged wasn't meaningless noise. It was structured, repeating, and consistent, containing intervals corresponding to atomic numbers: 6, 8, 14, 26. Carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron, the very building blocks of life and machinery. Interspersed among these were prime number sequences, recursive patterns, and spacings that matched protocols used in advanced communication theory. It became increasingly plausible that 3I-ATLAS was sending a message, not through sound or light, but through behavior. Its trajectory itself was a carrier of information. Every move, every slight adjustment in velocity, every timing of its gas pulses might be designed to be read by an observer with the right knowledge and tools. Even more chilling, when researchers overlaid the flight path with Mars's orbit, Earth's position, and the Sun, the alignments corresponded with key astronomical resonances known to ancient civilizations. Certain pulses occurred at exact moments when the inner planets were in harmonic configurations, suggesting a level of timing and awareness that goes far beyond natural forces. If this is true, then humanity isn't merely observing 3I-ATLAS approaching Mars. We are witnessing a communicative event, a signal written in motion, encoded in the very physics of the object. It's not asking for attention, it's demanding it. And whether it impacts Mars or misses entirely, the information has already been delivered, hidden in the choreography of an interstellar visitor moving through our solar system. The question becomes not just what 3I-ATLAS is, but what it is trying to say, and who or what is listening. As astronomers charted 3I-ATLAS's course in ever greater detail, they began to notice alignments that went far beyond chance. Its trajectory didn't just intersect Mars's orbit. It mirrored ancient astronomical cycles known for thousands of years on Earth. The points where it crosses the solar system's ecliptic line match the same angles used in megalithic calendars and temple alignments built by civilizations separated by oceans and millennia. Researchers plotted its path relative to Earth, Venus, and Mars and discovered that at several key moments, the three planets formed exact harmonic ratios, alignments identical to those encoded in sacred geometry. These weren't rough coincidences. They were precise, as if 3I-ATLAS had been programmed to arrive at these points in time when the planets would form a cosmic pattern visible from both Mars and Earth. On Mars itself, the coincidences became even harder to dismiss. When scientists overlaid the object's projected impact zone with satellite maps of the Martian surface, the location corresponded to a cluster of geometric formations in the Cydonia region, structures that some researchers have speculated about for decades. The patterns of those formations align perfectly with the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio, the same mathematical signatures seen in the object's thrust intervals. It's as though 3I-ATLAS is following instructions left long before humans existed, a celestial route locked into the fabric of the solar system itself. Every maneuver, every pulse, every approach angle seems to honor a hidden template, one that stretches back into deep time. To some scientists, this suggests a terrifying possibility. 3IATLAS may not simply be arriving now by accident. Its timing and path could be the culmination of an ancient plan, a pre-programmed event set in motion eons ago, when our planet's first civilizations were still carving stones under the stars. And if that's true, then what's happening now isn't just astronomy, it's ritual. A cosmic convergence meant to unfold exactly as we're seeing it today, down to the moment, the geometry, and the place on Mars where its journey will end. Soon after scientists decoded the binary-like patterns in 3IATLAS's movements, an even stranger phenomenon emerged, one that had nothing to do with telescopes or instruments, but with the people observing it. Neurologists monitoring researchers who spent hours staring at its data noticed something uncanny. Their brainwaves began to drift toward the same rhythm as the object's 17-minute pulse. The effect was subtle at first, tiny fluctuations in alpha and theta wave frequencies, just enough to register on EEGs. But the longer someone studied the signal, the more their brain began to mirror it, like a metronome synchronizing with another beat. Tests were repeated on unrelated groups and produced the same result. Even volunteers with no knowledge of 3IATLAS showed mild entrainment when exposed to recordings of its pulses. This wasn't normal. Human brainwaves can synchronize with music or flashing lights, but not with signals millions of miles away in deep space, especially not signals embedded in the timing of a moving object. Some experts began to wonder if 3IATLAS wasn't just broadcasting a message for machines to decode, but was somehow shaping consciousness itself. Speculative reports circulated quietly through neuroscience circles. Subjects exposed to the pulses reported vivid dreams of alien landscapes, strange geometric visions, and feelings of pull toward Mars. Brain scans during these episodes showed activity not only in auditory and visual regions, but also in deep memory centers, the same parts of the brain activated by intense spiritual experiences. If the signal is real and not a coincidence, it means 3IATLAS could be transmitting on two layers at once: a physical layer of propulsion, binary code, and orbital choreography, and a cognitive layer, frequencies that resonate with the human mind. It might not be speaking in words or images, but in impulses that our brains translate into symbols, emotions, and visions. Some researchers theorize that this could be a form of cognitive activation, a way to prepare intelligent beings for contact, to awaken latent memories, or to trigger a state of awareness needed to understand what's coming. If true, then 3IATLAS isn't just moving through our solar system. It's moving through our consciousness, and with every pulse that synchronizes with our brains, it's drawing humanity closer to whatever waits on Mars when the object finally arrives. As 3IATLAS closed the final stretch of space between itself and Mars, scientists began to see something they couldn't explain. Instruments on multiple orbiters, NASA's MAVEN, ESA's Mars Express, and even China's Tianwen-1 all started registering faint but perfectly timed disturbances. Every 17 minutes, exactly matching the pulses from 3IATLAS, Mars itself emitted a corresponding signal. At first, it looked like a glitch. The magnetometers aboard the orbiters were picking up subtle ripples in the Martian magnetic field. Seismic sensors on the surface, including data relayed from the now silent InSight lander, showed faint tremors, not random quakes, but rhythmic pulses. The timing was uncanny. Every time the object pulsed, the planet pulsed back. This wasn't background noise. It was synchronization. Two entities, one an interstellar object, the other an entire world, exchanging signals like a call and response. The pulses deepened over time, growing stronger as the distance between the two shrank. By the time 3IATLAS was within 2 million kilometers, the magnetic spikes were powerful enough to interfere with rover communications and cause unexplained surges in orbital instruments. Some researchers suggested natural explanations: solar wind fluctuations, instrument drift, or echoes of cosmic rays. But none of those matched the perfect 17-minute cadence. None explained why the signals intensified as the object drew nearer. None explained why the pulses were detected not just in the upper atmosphere, but as deep vibrations inside the Martian crust. It began to look less like a coincidence and more like a handshake, as if something buried within Mars had lain dormant for millennia, waiting for a specific signal, and 3IATLAS was delivering it. One astrobiologist put it bluntly, "It's like the planet is waking up," or answering back. Whatever 3IATLAS is, it isn't just heading toward Mars, it's triggering something within it. Something vast enough to make a dead world tremble in time with a visitor from the stars. And if that's true, the real event won't be the impact. It will be what happens in the moments just before it, when a silent planet and a silent Voyager finally meet, and the message they've been exchanging for millions of miles is complete. As the countdown to 3IATLAS's arrival reached its final hours, the narrative of fear and destruction began to fracture. For weeks, the world had imagined only one outcome, a catastrophic impact obliterating decades of research, a 10 billion-ton missile smashing into Mars at unimaginable speed. But the deeper scientists probed the data, the clearer it became. Everything about 3IATLAS, its timing, its trajectory, its pulses, its alignments, pointed not to annihilation, but to orchestration. What if the object isn't a weapon at all, but a key? What if the 17-minute pulses aren't countdowns to impact, but beats of a drum calling something ancient out of dormancy? The synchronized magnetic and seismic signals from Mars, the brainwave entrainment on Earth, the sacred geometries hidden in its flight path, all of them could be pieces of a single design. In that view, 3IATLAS isn't an invader. It's an initiator. Its arrival may be the culmination of an interstellar ritual timed to the resonances of planets, stars, and consciousness itself. A cosmic convergence meant not to destroy, but to awaken, to stir the memory of a planet that has lain silent for eons, and to ignite the awareness of the species watching from afar. Every pulse could be a word, every maneuver a sentence, every harmonic alignment a paragraph in a message written across millions of miles and thousands of years. A message so large and slow, it can only be seen from the vantage point of a civilization ready to notice. And so, the object once feared as a missile now appears as something far stranger. A message, not a harbinger of war, but an invitation. Not an end, but a beginning. A test of whether humanity can read the signs not as threats, but as communication, and whether we are ready to respond. As 3IATLAS glides toward Mars, perhaps the real impact won't be on a planet at all, but on our understanding of ourselves. The awakening of a planetary memory. The start of a dialogue written in orbits and pulses instead of ink and sound. A ritual older than humanity, unfolding exactly on schedule. And when that moment comes, it won't be destruction we witness. It will be initiation, a message, not a missile, echoing across the solar system and deep into our own mind, asking the simplest, most terrifying question of all. Are you ready? Whatever happens next with 3IATLAS, one thing is clear. This isn't just about Mars, it's about us, our planet, and what we're ready to see. Do you think NASA is hiding the truth? Drop your answer in the comments, and let's figure this out together. Welcome to Space Live YouTube channel brings you real-time rocket launch coverage, the latest spaceflight news, and in-depth reporting from launch pads and space agencies around the globe. Space Live is independent, now entering a new era of space reporting. Space Live covers all the key players in the industry: SpaceX, NASA, Blue Origin, ULA, Rocket Lab, Relativity, Arianespace, Firefly, Stoke, Northrop Grumman, and many more. From Starship development at Starbase to astronaut missions, launch infrastructure rollouts and global launches, we provide multi-angle live streams, on-location reports, and expert commentary from hubs like Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral, Vandenberg, Wallops, and beyond.